All right.
All right. Good morning, Matt from Grafted Branch Homestead. I see you're on. We got Crystal from Copper Kettle Farms on with us, and we're talking about the Homestead Hub. So
Yes.
yeah, so let's give a little bit of an introduction to anybody who doesn't know you, Crystal. I know a lot of people do, but let's see. You're over in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is
And
basically southern Pennsylvania.
right, and let's see the line on your image says "Living sustainably on the Mason-Dixon," and so I don't know if too many people know what the Mason-Dixon is. I make maps for a living, so I know what the Mason-Dixon line is for sure. Um, but Gettysburg's almost right on the line, right?
Yeah, I think there's. I can't think if there's anything that's really between us and the line. I think we do touch the line. So, which is weird because I grew up in northern Maryland in a town called Westminster. And as a child, we went to like the Washington Zoo down in DC, Baltimore Zoo, Smithsonian, but never once did they ever take us to Gettysburg. I had no idea it was as close as it was to where I grew up until I moved here.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to learn all about your history and everything. I really wanted to make this about the Homestead Hub, but just a quick fact about me: when I was young, I lived in Silver Spring, Maryland, which you probably know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a geographer, it's a really interesting part of the country. I saw that you had a video asking, "Is Maryland actually southern? Right? Is it part of the South?" And
Yes.
it's so I implore everybody to go and visit your channel and view all the interesting videos that you have on there. There's some that I just did not have enough time to go and see yet, and so I put them on my watch later, and I can't wait to go and watch them. But as a geographer, I mean, you got four states real close. I mean, the Mason-Dixon line made four states is line demarcating the north from the south, separating four states: Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, and West Virginia. Uh, Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon were the two surveyors who made that line. And have you heard the song "Sailing to Philadelphia" by Mark
No, I
Knopfler?
haven't heard that one.
So Mark Knopfler, who played in the band Dire Straits in the '80s, they have songs like "Money for Nothing" and I don't know some other songs. But him and James Taylor duetted on this song, and let's see, James Taylor played Charles Mason, and Mark Knopfler played Jeremiah Dixon, and they talk about going and making this Mason-Dixon line and how it kind of shapes the country. You know, it's a pretty interesting song. So anyway, I I wanted to make sure people had an opportunity to get to know a little bit about you, where you're located, and then also wanted to just ask you a fun kind of icebreaker question. And I saw that you said, you know, a lot of us are addicted to TSC, right? Going to Tractor Supply.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that if you had to buy just one thing at Tractor Supply today, what would you pick up?
Cattle panels.
Cattle panels. Yep.
Cattle panels are so universally usable on the homestead between fencing or making trellises, or we're about to build a goat barn with some. I mean, and they're so reusable. Like a goat barn, we thought about buying one of those tin sheds from Lowe's, which would be great. But I mean, goats are going to plow into it and all of that. But cattle panels, I mean, you just throw a good canvas tarp over it and you're good to go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if they ever go bad, right? They're galvanized and they seem to last forever, right? So
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen them go bad.
That's a good one. How much are they going for right now? Do you know?
For us, they're about $22 a panel for 16 foot by 8 foot. Is it 16 by something, maybe 4 foot. And then we use T-posts to put them in the ground. And T-posts, again, you can use them for pretty much everything and anything under the sun on the homestead too.
Yeah, we've got video about using a cattle panel for a tomato trellis. We tried that out this year. That was real successful. And just 3 T-posts, some wire, and a cattle panel, and you've got like the best trellis ever for a tomato. And then you can make them into an arbor where you come arching over. And we did that for cucumbers and beans this year, and it was great. I guess I should say hello to all these people in the chat. We got Matt from Grafted Branch Homestead, Barb from Ben's Over Acres, Daz from My Aussie Garden and Kitchen, Shannon from Journey Along with Shannon, and I forget your name, Farm and HVAC, and let's see, I think that's it for now. But anyway, it's good to see all these people.
I did just post you a link around in the Homesteaders Hub and stuff too. So
sweet, excellent, yeah. So I have a little bit of the about stuff from your channel on this video's description, so people can go and check that out. There's also a link to Homestead Hub in that description as well, which it's homesteadershub.com, and then I've got a link to your channel in there as well, so people can go and check that out. I've got a little blurb, basically your about section that you put on Homestead Hub is in the description as well, so people can go and check that out if they want, and head over to Homestead Hub right now if they choose to. But it's kind of enough of an introduction, I think. I figure that we I guess there's a few other things that people should know if they don't know about you already, and that's you've got some really popular videos. These chocolate bombs, I had no idea what those were, so now I know about chocolate bombs. And then there's you got DIY Bisquick, DIY dishwashing soap, DIY chocolate syrup. You got some app reviews, and you got some good videos on goats too. So that's just kind of like, as I was scrolling through, I'm like, I better take some notes about what Copper Kettle Farms has, as popular videos on their channel. And so those were some of the things. And then you've got live chats every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Is that right?
Yeah, every Sunday, 9 p.m. It's me and my husband, and it's usually in here in our unfinished studio. So you'll recognize this background probably.
Yeah, awesome. I like the sign in the background. Good to be a misfit. Yeah,
that's actually the name of my business. I run a digital agency actually out of here called Misfit Interactive. So I use that as my tagline.
All right. Well, that explains some of the questions I had. That's for sure. And you've been on YouTube for about 4 years, is that right?
We created our account 4 years ago, but we didn't actually start making videos until after HOA 2019, because we went to the conference. It's only 2 hours away in Front Royal, and I didn't really have any expectations when I went there. I was just planning to learn, but I kept seeing everybody walking around like this, like everybody. Right. And I'm like, what are these people doing? And I saw like Doug and Stacy there, and I'm like, oh, I recognize them. So I was like, well, maybe I'll try to do a YouTube channel. So it was really since 2019. I think a week later we had our channel up and started figuring out what we wanted to do. So we're technically 2 years old, even though we had the Gmail account earlier than that, I guess. Okay,
got it. Yeah. And you've got over 10,000 subscribers, so you're doing really well. You started this Homestead Hub, which I want to know, what kind of lit the fire under you to get it started, and then B, kind of what your vision is for it. So if you can tell everybody about that, that's kind of the main things, and then I'll just kind of let you run the show here and tell us all about Homestead Hub.
The Homesteaders Hub was originally supposed to be an idea that it actually spawned when I was watching people ask, who needs hours, who needs subs. I'm about to make a big Amazon purchase. Who has an Amazon affiliate link that I can use so they get the affiliate, what do you call it? The money from that.
Right.
And I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And then people were asking about, well, who's live tonight and who goes live on Thursdays? I'm thinking about going live on Thursdays. So there was like all this little information. There's got to be one location that we can have all this information. And I apologize, the sun coming in, it might be whiting me out a little bit, but
hey, we've got opposite lighting issues, so
yeah,
yeah, share some of that light over here. That would be good.
So the goal was to find a universal location that covers all of that information. And then, we had all of the drama on, and I'm not going to talk politics at all, but there was a lot of drama with Twitter and Facebook and stuff with the last political campaign. And then a lot of people have been posting on Facebook recently about, I'm feeling censored and things like that. So I was like, all right, well, maybe that can be a part of it as well. And there's actually more things planned in the future for this project. But right now, it's essentially a social network specifically built for homesteaders or farmers, and a place for us to still interact like we would on Facebook. You can create groups, you can friend people, you can have cover photos, avatars, make posts to just yourself, your friends, just people on the network, or publicly viewable on the site by anybody that goes to the URL. So right now it's basically, and people are signing up for it. I just had a new sign up today. You can actually do DMs through it as well. So it covers a lot of the functionality of Facebook. The only thing right now that people are requesting that I'm not going to do for a while yet is an app. But we have a group on Facebook that we also utilize where I explain instructions on how you can add an icon to your phone. I can't really show it. I don't think it would show anyway on the screen. But you can put an icon on your phone that just automatically opens up the hub. So I do have instructions on how to do that, but it's free to sign up. I host it myself. I make websites for a living, so it's very easy for me to put this together. And the goal with it is, if I'm going to monetize it, it's simply going to be through ads from companies that we all use anyway, like TSC or something.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to charge people to be a part of it. I just want it to be a place where people can speak freely about the freedom of homesteading and what we can do to support each other. Oh, Thorhaven, hey. That kind of gives hopefully an overview. Some of the future plans I do have for it, though, someone actually brought up that they wanted to be able to sell their products, but they don't like using Etsy, or maybe Facebook kept taking it down or something. So another thing we're going to do is I'm thinking about adding an Etsy style functionality where we would get us a portion of the sale for hosting it and providing the network for marketing your product, but it may become an Etsy replacement specifically for homesteaders as well.
Nice. Yeah, we could use something like that for sure. I've been really impressed with all the different tools and everything that's in there. Facebook tends to be a really rich environment, but it's not necessarily super user friendly, especially if you are on mobile or on desktop or whatever. There's differences, right? And it's frustrating. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and this seems, for somebody who knows just a little bit of code, this seems like you put it together really well, where it's clean, it's easy to use, it's easy to figure out where stuff is, and being on the web and not on an app, I think actually has a lot of advantages. And I like to hear that you could just click basically like a shortcut, right, on your phone, instead of having an app. That makes a lot of sense to me. And just using it right away, I realized this thing is something so great that I need to figure out who made it, how they made it, what was the goal, and I could tell that you had some development experience and that you know a lot about websites. So sincerely, personally, thank you for creating it. I really appreciate it, and can't wait till more people get on there. And it's a great resource for all of us because more people are using it. So tell me about kind of more of the future of what you envision maybe 5 or 10 years from now for this platform, and just how there's so many people who are getting into growing their own food and living a sustainable life, and just what you see as being possibilities for the future.
Well, I definitely think that things are so chaotic right now in society in general, and finding supplies are becoming more difficult, and being able to feel like, the whole goal between all of us being homesteaders was that we wanted to be able to independently be sustainable in some sort of way, whether it's, I just want to know where my food's coming from, or maybe I just want to not rely on the food system at all. Like Big Bear Homestead, that's one of their big tenets is I don't want to be relying on the food system. It's broken. And I agree with those sentiments 100%. So, finding a place where you can freely talk about these things, freely network with other people that feel the same way, I think is important. But on Facebook, you do have censorship issues, and then you're always being marketed to, because they do collect your data. One of my jobs is to collect data. Like I know how that works because I have to do that for my clients, and it sucks. I understand people don't want their information out there, but I utilize that information to market to people for my clients. So I know it's necessary to a degree, but at the same time, as a homesteader, I'm on the opposite end of it. I want people to know everything about me. And, I say that owning a YouTube channel, so I guess that's a little weird, but this is just a safe place for all of that to come together. And in the future, I probably will develop an app for it. And I do want to do the online store, and I want to have a calendar that all of these homesteads that go live, or all of these conferences that happen, can have, they can add their community events to the calendar automatically. So it's all in one location. So finding ways that we can support each other without the fear of it being restricted, I think was the biggest thing that I really was hoping to accomplish with that. So I'm always open to suggestions too. I know one person really wants the app, so that's definitely on my radar. Personally, I really want to add the ability to communicate with gifts, simply because my husband and we basically communicate with gifts all day long. We're kind of stupid that way. But, there's like little things like that will be added eventually.
Yeah, sure. No, having a rich experience is a good thing in many ways. I like that it's kind of stripped down right now. Honestly, that's just kind of more my style, I think.
Yeah.
But I understand how people would like gifts, and they would like a mobile app. And I think the biggest thing, from what I've seen from people recently that I know in the homesteading community, is the freedom. Right, freedom is a big thing for all of us, and that means many things, different priorities for different people. But one is, freedom from having your information collected. I think that's a big one. And, I use DuckDuckGo for a lot of searches to see kind of what the quality is like for a lot of sites. And homesteaderhub.com gets a B plus, which is like highest rating I ever see. So that's huge. So everybody who's listening, if you don't want your data harvested, this is a platform where that is a reality, and it's nice to have that freedom, and I appreciate that very much. Other things that you had mentioned were, the ability to have food freedom as well, right, and share with one another. And I started a seed sharing, a very basic, like Google Forms and Google Docs seed sharing ability for other people, just to put what seeds they have on there. But it was before I knew about Homesteaders Hub, and I think that that's actually a better place for people to go and share what harvest they've had that's too big for them to eat, or what seeds they have available that they love to share to get more variety in their seed bank, and things like that. As I'm thinking more about the different things that you mentioned, the supply line issues that we're having, and just the best food possible, growing that for your family and your community, just partnering together on a platform where we have true freedom, that's not censored, that we don't have to put weird words in there to, hope that
like,
one another know what we mean,
like pew pew.
like pew pew, and like cosmetic use only for, raw milks and things like that. It's become just a weird, undercover society we've built on Facebook and other platforms. And it is kind of weird that all of us are on YouTube. I agree with that sentiment there, but maybe there will be opportunity as time goes on to leave different platforms that aren't as friendly to our way of life. But for now, we got to use whatever tools we have, just like on the homestead, right? You've got some tools that really aren't so great for the job, but you're planning in the future for, saving up and buying those tools, whether it's a tractor or a shovel, so we'll use whatever tools we have and then move on when we have better tools. And I appreciate you for being a manufacturer of better tools. That's how I see this. And it's crucial, right? We all connect and we have this community, and we wouldn't be doing it on our own. We just wouldn't. It's not the way that the world works anymore. Back in the day when you had farmers all around you, yeah, sure, maybe you'd learn from your neighbors a little bit more. And nowadays, I can tell you, in our community, there are maybe some people that have a small vegetable garden, but there's hardly anybody who's looking to live sustainably, that's building their own compost, that's building your soil, which is one of the things I wanted to discuss with you. And that's one of our passions here. I've taken lots of soil science classes in college and got my degree in natural resource planning. And I make maps for natural resource planning for clients and things like that to get them, to get them through with whatever projects they're doing. But soils were so interesting. I had a prerequisite, which was Introduction to Soils, and it was a 2-semester long course. But then we had the option to take advanced soils classes, and I took every one I could. And my favorite one was Forest and Rangeland Soil Management, where we had a project at the end of buying a parcel and turning it into a productive business. And that was very rewarding, but it was virtual. It wasn't actual, purchase of a parcel and grazing cattle on it or whatever other applications people found for those lands. But tell me about the soil building that you do over there in Pennsylvania.
So it's more Donald's category of our channel. I mostly focus on the herbs, but we're very passionate about soil building here. My husband's in wastewater, so he's been in wastewater for like the last 8 years. So he deals a lot with microbiology. They have to use it to help break down waste and turn it into something that is considered a version of gray water. It's not, you could drink it, but I wouldn't. So they put that and they disperse it in a local water source, and then they put certain solids that are safe to put out on farmers' fields here locally. So that's part of his workforce, is in the science behind microbiology, which is like completely connected to soil building in general. So he's very passionate about it. Any videos that we put out about soil building, they're all him. He wants to take Elaine Ingram's classes and become a certified instructor on soil building. He's already taken Gabe Brown's class on it that I paid for as a gift for him to do. So we're very passionate about it. It's just, that's definitely more his wheelhouse. And our goal here is, I want to say, whoever owned this land before us, and I bought this place in 2008, they very much, keep the grass short, and there's a lot of ponding of water because there's no penetration in the soil. In just a couple of years, we're going to be completely out of topsoil in the United States if we don't do something soon. Yeah. So, it was like tons of topsoils lost a day or something around the world. So he's going to be starting actually a soil consulting business once he gets situated at his new job. Is kind of like a side thing that eventually can turn into full time once he retires. But we've noticed, since we've been transitioning to what he's learned through soil science, that we no longer get the ponding here, and we no longer have the issue of the flooding and the grass being so dry and brown, because we're letting the roots grow and we're protecting the land with the grass. The longer your grass is, the longer the roots is, the more it penetrates. You keep it short, then those roots are short. Yep. So they don't absorb the water and they don't protect the land. And when you clear out a version of land or a section of land, and all of a sudden you've got weeds in it, it's because the land doesn't want to be bare. And Mother
Right.
Nature wants to be covered. She's
Yep.
modest that way. So
Right.
it's always going to find a way to cover it. And so, we're very anti-till here. It's just part of that whole process of working with the land and not against it to accomplish the same goals.
Yeah, amen to that. That sounds like you just wrote our about section right on our page for us right there. Yeah,
There you go.
we're a no-till. We're no-till gardeners, and we do lots of cover crops and let it grow and have our chickens graze it. And we'd love to get ruminants on the land, but we're on less than a half acre here, and it needs irrigation, and it's a hillside, and so on and so forth. So we're looking for another piece of land, actually with my parents. So we'll be doing that here sometime in the next year or so, probably. But yeah, we're all about growing roots, right? That's kind of the big key to soil health, is growing roots and letting those roots do the work for you, largely. And it takes time, and that's one of the things that we're not good at as Americans. Especially we've learned to really have comfort and convenience at our fingertips, and we can instantly get stuff delivered to our house or whatever else that we might want. And so taking the time is it's an important thing to learn. I'm really grateful that I've been able to kind of learn patience the last couple of years that we've owned this property, and it's went from just bare rocks and weedy plants to lots of cover crops and roots and grasses that are perennial and keep growing even though there's a freeze and snow and all kinds of other stuff here in the mountains of Arizona. But it's one of those things you have to try some stuff and see what happens, see what works, try different species, talk to people nearby you, talk to other people around the country in the same USDA zones that you might be in, and try to just figure it out and be patient and give yourself some grace along the way to make mistakes and change things up. And yeah, it's been a fun experience here, but it's fun to hear from people like you that are doing the same thing, across the country, and are real focused on teaching people too. That's one of the things I saw when I visited either your website or your YouTube channel, that you're interested in teaching people, which is one of our big priorities as time goes on, is teaching people whatever we've learned, our successes, our failures, and everything in between.
Yeah, and a part of the mindset I think that causes the issue is the traditional or conventional version of farming that is what America grew up on since like the 1800s. My father just turned 71, has been a farmer his whole life. I'm technically like a fifth generation farmer. His
Wow.
father was a farmer. His grandfather, my original grandfather, came over from Germany, like my great-great-grandfather in the 1800s. But it's all been traditional, monocrop, tilled, John Deere tractor farming. And that's all that Dad knows. So when we're introducing these new concepts of you don't actually need to till the land and you need to let the grass grow out, like Dad, I don't know if this is like, I don't know, it's not necessarily a dad thing, but Donald and I make a joke sometimes that some guys like to mow often because that's like their peace of mind time. And I get it. Like for me, my shower is my peace of mind, or sitting out on the deck and watching the birds. But they mow so much that it's causing so much harm to their system, their whole, environment that they've got out in their lawn. So it's been a struggle because I've been taking care of my dad since I was 23. He's been disabled since then. I'm 41 now, so it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to break him of that mindset because he feels like, his contribution is now less because he can't do the things that he feel like he knows and has grown up knowing his whole life, like, plowing the garden. We don't let him do that anymore.
Yeah.
He still mows. We don't let him mow where we're building like a nice pasture for some sheep eventually, but he still mows around, and it's hard to convince him not to do that. There's just so much embedded tradition in things that were just done wrong for the last 100 years.
Yeah. The conventional farming method, it was short-term gains, right? That was kind of the focus, was short-term gains. And we've actually got a lot more in common than I thought, Crystal. As you talk about your dad, my dad, he is 69 years old. I'm 43, so pretty similar in age. But my dad has Parkinson's and has just recently become a lot more disabled. He's not able to walk as much, and we got him a walker, but he's surely going to be needing a mobility scooter or a lawn tractor or something to get around. And that's one of the reasons why we're looking for a property for all of us to live on together. He's been taking a lot of falls lately, and my mom's having a hard time just picking him up off the ground. She's a little lady, and he's a bigger man, and so I want to be able to be within a shout so she can come and have me come over there and help him out. But he is a retired veterinarian, and he specialized in large animals. Actually, he was a veterinarian at the San Diego Zoo.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was a pretty cool career, but he is a conventional veterinarian through and through because of what he was taught. And even though he has a lot of experience with the wild world and endangered species and their natural habitat and all that, it's like you were talking about, trying to work with nature instead of against nature. That is that's what we try to do a lot more of. And anyway, he's a more conventionalist. He's not a farmer, but a veterinarian, and antibiotics and all the rest are really good ideas in his mind, and it's really hard to convince him otherwise. But he sees what we're doing, and he sees that it's working, and is behind us 100%. So I think it'll be interesting to have him be on the same piece of land as us, and he's interested to see what regenerative agriculture looks like with sheep and with no-till and all the rest. So yeah, we'll see. That's part of the education, though, and it's awesome to hear that you're still trying to keep your dad involved while showing him that there's a different way. That's not a easy uphill battle to fight, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's very traditional and he's very sentimental. I think it is the bigger issue. Like,
sure.
Always holding on to things. I wouldn't say he's necessarily a hoarder. Our house isn't really big enough, and I want to keep a clean house, but it's hard to break the chains of that type of tradition. And I try to educate people in, basically, Mother Earth has been doing this for thousands of years. She knows what she's doing. So, learning how to trust that process, in that, for example, when your garden fails, a lot of people take that, take it a little hard. Like, my garden failed this year. Maybe I'm a crappy gardener. I don't know if I want to put forth all this effort next year if I couldn't even do it this year. Like, even Donald, when he first came up here, before he got into all this, was, if he had a failed crop, he took that and internalized it quite a bit. And I was like, look, nature happens. And our garden failed this year, and I was actually perfectly fine with it, because what I saw all kinds of bees, I saw all kinds of birds, I saw all kinds of butterflies hanging out in the garden, and now I've got all this fresh weeds and thistle growing in my garden that I'm going to give to my goats for free. So now I've got free food for my goats. They're going to come in and munch it down. They're going to stomp on it like a cow would in a cow pasture. And they're going to drop their droppings, and the roots are going to rot into the ground. And then the worms are going to come in, and they're going to eat all these rotten roots, and the microbes are going to come, and they're going to eat all of these rotten roots and put everything back in the soil. So it's just like this whole natural process that my failed garden, my failure as a gardener this year, brought me all these opportunities. So I try to look at it that way as well. Is it's all part of the process.
Yeah, it's really easy to internalize it and take it personally. We had that happen. We terraced off an area of our yard for a 32 by 16 bed, and had some really big struggles that first year. And then this year we did really well. We had a lot of fertility, and it was just about, waiting, being patient, and changing a few things up. And we also got good monsoon rain this year. So that's one of the things about Arizona, is that we get these monsoons from basically the end of June through the end of August. And it's a good time to get rain in hot Arizona. But we didn't have that the year before, and it changed things a whole bunch. So, there's some stuff that's out of your control, and there's some stuff that you can control. And then there's some stuff that you need to go with the flow and go with whatever, nature gives you. And as a person who maps vegetation communities regularly for my day job, I can tell you, whenever there's a disturbance, the first thing that come in is weeds. And a lot of them are the stuff that you don't want, the noxious weeds. But yeah, the soil wants to be covered, and it needs to be. And so I think one of the best things that you can do is not try to fight it, try to let it take its course, and better still, throw a bunch of seed down if you can, and find some better plants to get in there, and then just try to slowly have it convert, right? And if you can slowly convert it into something that's better, a good cover crop mix, or whatever other, fodder for your animals, or whatever it is that you might find more valuable than what is just volunteering itself there, then go with that and keep it going. We found that on our property has led to a lot of fertility that we really didn't think, in just a couple seasons, that we would have the fertility that we do. But letting those roots, like we were talking about earlier, letting those roots penetrate down and persist, and not yanking them out, right, and not tilling them up and exposing all of the soil ecosystem to the surface, really does a lot. And if you can just slowly, keep at it.
Drop.
Yeah, that's right. And if you do that with goats or sheep or chickens or cattle or whatever, if you can chop the tops of it, let it rest, and keep those roots going, you'll find that you've got a lot more fertility than you might think. So definitely helps.
My dad on the mower.
Oh, nice.
You hear that?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you could hear that.
I can.
It's like, oh, he's mowing again.
Yeah, actually, my dad, he loves mowing. He's got just a traditional lawn, some fescue, and it's underneath some nice deciduous trees, but he can't do it anymore. He can't mow. And so my son, who's 12, is mowing his lawn for him every week. And one of the things my dad said was, I was researching it, and the longer you let the grass go, the better it is for the soil and for the roots, and it keeps the ground cool, and it keeps the moisture in. And he was saying all these things, and I go, Dad, that's exactly what I've been talking about, and why we want to rotationally graze sheep and do it intensively in a spot, and move it and leave a third of it there, and have them trample it. And he got it, he really got it. And it's exciting to see that he could learn some new stuff that wasn't conventional, and see how we plan to apply it. So that was really encouraging. How short is your dad cutting the grass right now? Do you know?
Oh, goodness. I mean, he probably cuts it till it's like an inch or two above there. I mean, it's so low. And it's on the outer rim. So we're just like, whatever. That's one of the reasons we put up fencing. I think we showed it in one of our videos. We put up some fencing all around where we're going to have the sheep. And that grass just looks so good. And honestly, when I approach grass, it's the less is more approach. The less you mow, the more you get out of it. And I know Donald put out a video on 5 soil building tips. And one of them, we did show that you really shouldn't mow again until you get that peak on the grass tip. If it's just got that flat edge where it still looks like it has been cut, then you shouldn't mow it. Yeah.
Have you watched much of Greg Judy?
Yes, my husband loves Greg Judy. I feel like sometimes he worships Greg Judy, or that Greg Judy's his other spouse. But yes, he loves Greg Judy. Greg Judy's really good with his the way he approaches his videos and how he talks to his cows. And I don't know, the guy loves his cows, so I love that guy.
Yeah, sounds like your husband and I would get along pretty well.
I think you would. Yes.
Yeah, my wife Danielle, she's she can't watch that much of that stuff. She likes to watch like the M.I. Gardner and other Charles Dowding and other people that are growing vegetables and, you know, putting compost down. And she likes to see their nice, tidy vegetable gardens and stuff like that. But all I want to do is watch people move their sheep and cattle and see what their grass looks like. And it's kind of funny. I can understand why that would be boring to some people. But to me, I just think about all that healthy soil underneath and how much, you know, carbon it's sequestering and how much water isn't running off from erosion and how much good soil is staying put, you know, and it's enjoyable for me to watch. So.
Have you seen that movie, The Biggest Little Farm, on Amazon about that farm out in California? Oh,
yeah. It's I think one of the most encouraging things that I've found as part of our community is finding these small properties where people are growing so much food, and I didn't think that was really possible on our property here, but with our little 32 by 16 garden, I blew myself away this year. And most of the credit should go to my wife. She spends a lot of time out there. She's a homeschool mom. And so our boys are 12 and 14 now, and they can kind of autopilot a little bit more. And so she's been spending a lot of time out there, and it has shown. It's gone really well, but patience was part of that. But seeing these small properties that are, you know, less than a couple acres. I mean, for most people, they think of a farm, they think of something that's 40 plus acres, you know, and to see somebody doing it on a property that really isn't that large at all, that you can see all four corners of by standing off your porch or whatever, it's really cool to see that people are a lot of people are providing even you know 50% to even up to 100% from a little space, and I find that so encouraging because it's hard to get over that hump in your head of you know, I only have so much land, I'll never be able to produce that much food. But when you see some of these success stories, it's pretty encouraging. But you gotta also learn the failures too, and a lot of those you don't learn unless you experience it firsthand. So that's part of it.
well, and Donald and I, we only have a little over an acre and a quarter here, but there's no limit. I mean, we can have goats and sheep and chickens and rabbits and peacocks and pigs all on this land. Now, we don't have the sheep or the pigs yet, but we have everything else that's like on our purview. But there's, what's that family? I don't remember the name of that family out in Los Angeles. I think I even talked about it on our live this week. But they grow like, I don't know how many tons of food, and I don't think they have any land. Like, they might have a backyard, but they grow so much vertically, and they're in Los Angeles, and someone here probably knows their name, but the amount of flexibility you really have that people don't realize. Like, even if your garden failed this year's, like ours did, then there's no time of year where you cannot grow food. There's, even in the winter, there's no time of year that you cannot grow food. I'm about to start a bunch of seeds to plant for a winter crop. You know, put it under a nice big hoop house thing or something. But you can always grow something any time of year and in any location. And I think that's the mindset that people need to change about themselves.
Yeah. I haven't been too good at reading these comments, and when I put them up, it covers your face. So sorry about that. But there's some good ones right here. Robert from Homestead Aquarius says, intensive growing keeps those folks moving fast and helping so many have great food. Their story is inspiring. Yeah, absolutely. And then Bobby and Sherry Black from Black's Tropical Homestead said, yes, Nick, a little goes a long way. 1 acre, and we are 100 plus trees, plants, enough to feed the neighborhood. Blessings. And that was one of the things. And then, Matt says, I know people that raise quail for eggs and meat in a 1-bedroom apartment. I mean, talk about productive. That's awesome. Sherry and Bobby Black bringing up, enough to feed the neighborhood brings me to one of our goals, and it is to be a blessing to others, right? We plan to grow the best food possible for our family. That was one of our initial goals. Was that you can only find such good food in for sale in the supermarket, but you can grow the very best food yourself at your place. And so that was one of our goals. And as we've grown, we've realized that we always plan to grow a little bit more than what we plan to consume, whether that's tomatoes or eggs or whatever. And being a blessing, giving the neighbors a dozen eggs every couple months or every couple weeks or whatever it is it's just amazing to be able to feed your neighbors and your community with the best food possible. It's such a blessing to be a blessing to others, and despite whatever differences we may have in opinions or politics or whatever else, we all have food in common, and good food is something that most of us can agree on is worth paying for a lot of times. Some of us would rather not pay the crazy prices, $30 for a whole chicken or whatever it might be, but being able to grow that yourself and share it with your community is a really beautiful thing that there's no debate about it. It's a loving gesture to others, and I think that's a universal truth that it's a way to love people. So,
well, and there's an aspect of being a good neighbor that goes into, if you're into prepping at all, like having good neighbors and a good relationship with your neighbors is all part of providing security on your homestead in general. So when my neighbors go out there, they're big into Penn State, so they go off to games all the time. So we look after their property while they're gone. They don't pay us to do it, and they don't even really ask us to do it, but we've done it, and it's been good for them for us to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely one of our priorities as well, is just developing immediate community with the people adjacent to you, for sure. And they may be totally opposite from you in so many ways, but one thing that you have in common is that you live on the same geographic piece of the world, and
you eat.
And you eat, and it's what's interesting to me about the different preps that people make is the different things that they plan to be ready for, and for us, we're not planning for anything in particular, but there are natural disasters and there are social disasters as well, and it's just good to be a little bit more ready for the unexpected, even temperature stuff, right? Like a big freeze that you weren't ready for, or a lot of heat, or whatever it might be, and it's good to be ready for that stuff, no matter what it is, and to be able to help your neighbors in those times too. That's for sure. Let's see. We got a few other comments here. Robert from Homestead Aquarius says, we have so much common ground on the earth with everyone. Food is one of those things. Yep. And yeah, Grafted Branch Homestead says, I don't care who I help. They need it. If they need it, I'm here. Thorhaven Farm says, inflation is crazy up here too. Bacon has gone up 20% since last year. Beef 13%. Thankfully, we have our own of both. Yeah, Thorhaven Farm. They're up in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And
Quebec.
Yeah, Quebec and Quebec, right? That's how you
Quebec,
say it.
Yeah.
And they have some pigs, and they've been harvesting them, I believe. Just now, I've been trying to follow along with them. So let's see. I think my family and neighbors are excited when I come with eggs weekly. Oh, that's great, Sherry and Bobby. I'm gonna share that one. And don't let me have a chicken in hand that we raise and process. It's a celebration. It feels wonderful giving. Yeah, I agree. I prep to help, says Matt from Grafted Branch. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, everything is going up in price. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Well, what else are you guys all about at Copper Kettle? Crystal, is there anything that we haven't touched on?
Well, we're definitely into herbal medicine as well. I'm actually taking Rosemary Gladstar's the Science of Herbal Medicine course right now. I just started setting up my herbal cabinet. I've done videos on it. I'm going to do a video each month of a new herb that I'm extensively researching. But one of the things that you don't think about when you think about conventional medicine is that up until the 40s, herbal medicine was all we had. Like there wasn't the conventional medicine and the pharmacy style medicine that we have now. And then in the 40s, somehow it became taboo. And I have theories, and they could be conspiracy theories about the pharmaceutical industry and how they aren't in it for cures, they're in it for treatments, and that's how they make their money. But beyond that, to me, it just adds another level of independence on the homestead, is knowing how to treat animals or yourself, not always just your herbal medicine. Like, I don't want to discredit conventional medicine for what it does provide for society and all of that. But, I grow a willow tree. I planted a willow tree last year so that I have a natural form of aspirin available if I want to use it. And we grow our own herbal medicines, and I'm on blood thinners, so for me, I have to figure out, well, what foods can help, regulate that, like cayenne pepper and things like that. So that's a big part of what I contribute to our channel, is the herbal medicine side. And then my husband does the soil science, and then we're both into small acreage, silvopasture style farming. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. Willow trees are the easiest thing ever to grow. In fact, we have some, we took a bunch of cuttings and planted them throughout our yard. I guess it's been 2 years now, and they're really starting to take off now. So, and they were just cuttings that we just stuck in the ground, literally just stuck them in the ground. And I learned that from some of the restoration people I work with, who there might be a area of some drainage or something where they had to put a pipe through or something, and so they cleared a bunch of land. And so to restore it, they'll just take willow cuttings off of a nearby tree and just stick them in the wet ground, and sure enough, they'll root. So if anybody has wanted to grow a willow tree or some type of shade tree or whatever, they do take quite a bit of water. So here in Arizona, it can be a challenge sometimes to get them started, get enough water to them, depending on the time of year. But yeah, willow trees are great. And yeah, that willow bark, that's what people used for years for painkillers, right?
Yeah, I think it was introduced to a lot of us in what would be considered Western medicine through like the Cheyenne tribes and stuff. They use willow bark tea to reduce fever, which is what aspirin was built for. So.
Right. Yeah. No, it's good to know about these things, and I'm looking forward to that video. We could never learn enough about natural remedies for stuff. I think it's just important knowledge to have. And
the first video I did was on cayenne pepper, and I honestly kind of took August off, so I am overdue on another herbal video, and I think I'm trying to do them seasonally. Like a lot of people right now are starting to do elderberry syrups, so I think that's going to be the next one. I'm hoping to get that one done next week, and include an elderberry syrup recipe. Most people know about it already, but there will be other ones. Like I got obsessed with dandelions this year. I did not realize how beneficial dandelions were. I made jelly from it this year. I have tea from it. And just the amount, like 1 ounce of dandelion has like 2,000% of our vitamin A requirement. Like it's amazing how beneficial some of these even wild weeds are. So, I want to get that information out there as well.
Yeah, elderberry. It's funny. We have an elderberry plant that just produced its first fruit this year. And we were boiling it down, and something happened. We walked away for a second, and it started burning. And we're like, oh no, that was all the elderberries that we had. So we're kind of bummed about that, but we've had elderberry syrup in our fridge for decades now. That's something
so good.
Yeah, we always use it. So it's great learning about that stuff. And I don't even remember where we learned about it from, but it doesn't really matter. It's sharing the information with others, and growing collectively. That's a big part of all of this. All right.
Black's comments. They're so I love them. I actually just found Black Tropical Homestead recently. But they are set, like she did a video on this ginger shampoo stuff, which I recently saw go viral on TikTok. And I was like, I want some of this. And then she put out a video, and it's such a fascinating plant. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm really loving, because they're in a totally different climate than we are. They're down in like Savannah or something.
Yep.
I just love them to death.
Yeah, no, it's great. We lived in San Diego for quite a while. That's where Danielle and I grew up. And my dad worked at the San Diego Zoo, so that's the reason we were down there. But we grew bananas and ginger and all that stuff that is tropical, and we miss, and citrus and all kinds of stuff like that. We miss a lot of that being up here in the mountains where, you know, we've got lots of frost, but we can grow cherries here, and we can grow, you know, good peaches and apples and all kinds of stuff that needs, you know, some frost hours. So yeah, it's good to know different people throughout the country, and I can't wait to visit certain people that, you know, I've been watching their videos and getting to know who they are, and like to go up to Canada sometime and visit friends up there, and it'd be awesome. But yeah, it's a cool community, that's for sure. And the Homesteaders Hub is a great place for everybody to go and get connected and share all the stuff that we've been talking about. Let's see. I would love if anybody who's in the chat can share if they are already part of the Homesteaders Hub. I know that some of you are, and I know that some of you are not. So go ahead and leave a comment if you are, and if you're not, go ahead and sign up, because we'd love to see you on over there. I think it's just a great portal, platform, whatever you want to call it. It's a great place to connect, and I'd love to connect with more people on there than Facebook or anywhere else. Hey, what's up, Stephen, Mr. Boots and Bounty Homestead?
Now, I do know that there was a little confusion with Stringfield. Because there's a Facebook group for it called Homesteaders Hub, always free to join. And a lot of people think that that's only a Homesteaders Hub. That's just our Facebook group to support the Homesteaders Hub. And I actually put marketing tips in there too, because again, I own a marketing agency. So helping people to grow their YouTube channels and stuff. And people are conveniently on Facebook. So it is a Facebook group, but when my goal is, I'm creating a separate social network specifically for homesteaders called the Homesteaders Hub that eventually maybe everybody will migrate to, but I don't know that the Facebook group will ever go away. So if you go to Homesteaders, I'm going to type it in here, hub.com, that's the independent website. That's the social network. But you can be a part of the Facebook group too. I'm going to be posting information duplicate on both. So
Sherry and Bobby Black from Black's Tropical Homestead said that they can't post for 30 days, right? No, that's not the case. I just joined last week or this weekend, and
you can post. And Homesteading NH, I think New Hampshire recently joined and posted last night. So yeah, everybody can join and post. It does require email verification, just because that's the only way to really right now to prevent spammers from joining, which you know, every website's going to have struggle with. So
yeah, I loved all the tools, like how you can just go and post your link to your YouTube video right in there. You know, you can click that button and post that in there, and yeah, it's great. Like I said before, I love it more than Facebook. All the tools and everything just seem so straightforward. And sometimes you'll post a link in Facebook or whatever, and it'll pop up kind of weird or whatever. And it's like, well, how do I change that? And I love the Homesteaders Hub. It's been great. So
yeah, it's a very simplified version of Facebook, which I think is needed. Facebook's getting a little too complicated.
Yeah, and if anybody in the chat hasn't seen it yet, there's links to both Copper Kettle Farms YouTube channel and Homesteader Hub on the description of this video. So just click the live chat off and go look at the description, and you can click right through and go join us on Homesteader Hub. And Yeah, I think that's about it. We're almost up on an hour here, and I'm gonna need to get myself to work. And I appreciate you taking all the time to join us today, Crystal. It's really has been a pleasure talking to you.
No problem. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been great. It's good to hear about how much we have in common. I'm sure there's stuff that we don't have in common, but it's nice to not talk about that stuff too. You know, like I'm big on focusing on the good and the positive stuff, and to find what we have in common rather than what we don't, because it seems like that's a lot of the focus in this world these days, is focus on what we don't have in common. And yeah, we can't even be friends if we have one thing that's not in common. And we've got so much that is in common, so it's great to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, I don't talk politics or religion with anybody because I don't need either to do homesteading. So
Yep. It's important to remember that. Yeah, some of that stuff. What do I say? The essentials, we should have unity. The non-essentials, we should have liberty. You know,
yes,
if it's not,
I love that.
Yeah, and in everything, we should have love.
Yes,
that's yeah. Speaking of religion, I borrowed that from a pastor. Actually, he was the one that said that, and I thought that's true. That's universally true. In the essentials, we should have unity. In the non-essentials, we should have liberty. And in everything, we should have love.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good place to stop. So I appreciate it again, Crystal, and can't wait to watch those videos I have on my Watch Later playlist. So we'll be watching some of those, and yeah, if anybody has questions for Crystal, you can message her through actually Homesteader Hub is probably a good place to go to, and message her through there. Of course, you can leave comments on her videos on her YouTube channel and all that too. And yeah, thanks so much, Crystal. Thanks everybody in the chat, and we'll have more videos for you real soon. Thanks for watching.
Take care.
You too. Bye.